there we go again. Good evening, everybody. It's so wonderful to be back here, and so wonderful to do the counting of the Omer together with the way that corresponds with each counting of the Omer. And last night we counted the 14th. Tonight we're going to count the 15th. And we have the 15th way that our sages tell us to maximize pleasure in life. We've discussed yesterday that the manual for living, in way number 14, was the Torah. If you don't have the manual, you don't know how to use the product. Every single product you'll buy, ever, you buy a stand for a phone, it comes with a manual. You even buy a book, it comes with a manual. The introduction, it tells you how to read it. It tells you how to benefit from the book. Any item, it tells you how to use it. Is it possible that the Creator of heaven and earth, who created each and every one of us, is it possible that the Almighty doesn't give us a manual? It's impossible. So, in that case, that manual is the Torah. And we've discussed it yesterday, and for those of you online, you're welcome to watch it on way 14, a little bit lower down on the page, on this page on Facebook. But what is way number 15? It's not the written law, the Torah, but rather way number 15 is the oral law. So, my friends, what is the oral law? Now, let me tell you what most people think the oral law is. Most people think, in a very irreverent way, in most cases, it's just a bunch of rabbis. It's just a bunch of rabbis. The rabbis decided to make the Jewish people's lives miserable, and therefore they decided to expound on the Torah. Wrong. Wrong. What is the oral law? The oral law is the how-to for the commandments written in the Torah. We've discussed this numerous times. The Torah tells us what to do, but the Torah does not tell us how to do. It's very clear what to do in the Torah. The Torah says, for example, that you should slaughter an animal before you eat it. A kosher animal that you're allowed to eat. Before you eat it, you need to slaughter it. But does it say how to slaughter it? No. For that you need the oral Torah. The Torah tells us that tefillin, we know, are what color? Black. So if I were to walk into a synagogue, God forbid, don't try this, but if I were to walk into synagogue with light blue, it's my favorite color. No, it's not, but just imagine, right? Light blue tefillin, right? Someone would walk over to me and say, it's not something wrong there with your tefillin. Are they miscolored? We got to paint them black. I'm going to be like, what are you talking about? They're going to say, yeah, everybody knows you have to have black tefillin. Right? Really? Where? I have a Torah. Here's my Torah. Show me where it says it needs to be black. And they won't be able to find any place in the entire Torah that it needs to be black. But we know very clearly it has to be black. There's no disagreement on that. Where do we know it from? So that we have through the oral Torah. Okay, what to do? The Torah tells us. How to do? The Torah does not tell us. So it is impossible. It is impossible to observe the Torah, the written Torah, without the oral Torah. It is impossible. Okay, now, the Mishnah is the first authoritative writing of the oral Torah. Meaning, as Rambam tells us that Moses had a notebook, and Aaron had a notebook, and the elders had notebooks, and the prophets had notebooks. They took down notes. Why? Because all they got, and all the Torah is the headlines. But you want to get the depths, you want to get the deeper understanding of every single law in each commandment, and every single detail, that you need the oral that was expounded on verbally at Mount Sinai and throughout the desert for all 40 years. So, the oral Torah was then combined together into one book, known as the Mishnah, and expounded on in the Talmud, And then you have commentaries to understand the Talmud, and commentaries on commentaries on commentaries, right? What's the word we're allergic to? Interpretation. Right? We're allergic to the word of interpretation because then you can do whatever you want with interpretation. Well, I interpret it to be... Really? You can't just interpret it on your own whims. You have to. It has to be based on something. Right? The oral Torah is so essential. Now, how do we take this idea of the oral law and put it to practical in other areas of life? So we all know that in law, in American law, we know that in every single profession, there are certain rules and regulations. Right? We know that. That's, let's call it the written law. But then there are things that if you ask someone who's really, really wise, or someone who has years of experience in that field, they'll tell you the tricks of the trade. They'll tell you how to do it really correctly, right? And that is the oral law. So if you're going into mechanics, yeah, you can read the book and figure out how to fix the car. Or you can also, if you want to understand it fully, ask someone who has some experience in it. Ask someone who's knowledgeable in it. And they'll give you the rest of the story. Right? So the oral law is not just a set of rules that the rabbis made up that are here to make your life miserable. Right? The oral law is there to help you understand how to observe the incredible mitzvahs, the incredible commandments that are in the Torah. So, if you want to maximize pleasure, you have to have the manual. If you want to really maximize that manual, you have to understand it. And that is the oral Torah. So with that, my friends, thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to sharing with you way number 16 tomorrow night. Have a lovely evening. Please share this video on your Facebook page and like it if you liked it. And have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining us.